So various activities are involved towards doing this, especially setting up an assembly distribution centers, repair and maintenance centers, both involved identification, setup, training, as well as the actual operations. And entrepreneurship development also happened, where we are doing entrepreneurship development trainings. For those people who are involved in making the lamp, can actually continue their livelihood using solar. And being in IIT, we were also strongly involved in, continue to be doing this documentation and research on all these aspects. A quick idea of the operational flow we ended up creating is we have a central coordinator who we first empanel various vendors, and based on the target population there, we decide how much quantities to send them. The quantities are directly told to the vendor, and vendor supplies last mile up to that particular location, which itself is quite an interesting task because the visibility is very low. I'm sure all of you have used say purchase through Flipkart and Amazon, everything, right? Here you can really track what is happening, like whether it has reached warehouse, whether it left warehouse, etc. But if you want to supply anything to some of these locations, visibility will stop somewhere at Patna. It will say reached Patna, left Patna, and then you got no news for next 7 days, and then say delivered. So you have no visibility in the last mile, even though India is very well connected, people all have mobile phones. Still, many of these locations where we need to go are very remote locations. And as I told, the quality is very important. Inspection, confirmation of delivery happens. 100% is inspected, and then once it is confirmed, then the payments happen to the suppliers. These assembly and distribution centers are serves 1 to 3 blocks. 100% inspection of components happen. They actually make the lamps and sell it through schools to the end customers, that is the school students. But of course, school students are going to use it in their houses. The people who had helped in setting up, running the assembly and distribution will now be empowered to set up repair centers, solar lamp repair centers, which provides free service under warranty during the warranty period. So these repair centers set up at the panchayat level, so the accessibility is more. You cannot go and repair the lamp at every school, but and again they can't even come up to the block level or the district headquarters to repair the lamp. So the repair centers at the panchayat level, which has much more accessibility. And all whatever components, bad components comes, it gets through the repair AD center, goes to supplier for replacements. Additional training is provided for entrepreneurship development to all the people who are engaged in the repair and maintenance activities. I hope that at least some of them will succeed and become entrepreneurs. So various process systems are ended up setting up mainly in form of guidelines and trainings and manuals, then translated in the local language, then training videos, etc. were set up. Then we established the processes, created flowcharts. Imagine we have to ensure that the lamps are assembled in the exact same way as they will do in an industrial setting. We gave various record books to ensure that indeed all the processes are followed and all the data is accurately recorded and there is a clear trace back, and every lamp was coded so that given a lamp code you can actually trace it back to whom it was actually sold to, and in fact we can even trace it to say where it was made and which supplier actually made it. Up to that level we can actually trace it back all through the help of just simple record books. Various softwares also employed in the form of so we had to get the information all back here, and data entering is easy there, but we had to anyway get it here. So we used scan utilities, we used apps, whatever technology was helpful for whichever activity, we used all sorts of things. Finally all coming together in our solar lamp Soul's website, where you can get the latest information about the project. So Chetan introduced 1 million solar lamp project. After we completed, when we presented the report to the ministry, soon they sanctioned a much larger project for about 7.5 million lamps. So we are still involved in the central coordination of this pan-India project, which is now the world's largest, involving local communities. So it's currently happening right now. Project is on in 9 states, 70 districts, 230 blocks. Nearly 7,500 people who have been trained, 7,500 people trained, and current distribution stands at around 54 lakh lamps. And 212 people have actually moved from the R&M centers and set up their own shops where they are actually selling the solar products. Various interesting things happen. When we gave the basic assembly and we just told them you have to assemble it. Everybody got the same training. But some of these centers actually thought for themselves and they told, no, individually let us not make a lamp, let us just form assembly line. So let us put 2 people doing only first step, another 2 in the second step, another 2 in the third step, and so on. So actually they created their own assembly line, and then we took that best practices and shared it with the others. So the innovation doesn't stop just because we didn't tell them. They are free to think, and we gave them a sounding board to raise their ideas. So we could get a lot of such interesting things coming out. Distribution was even more interesting because dialect changes every 50 kilometers. So we had projects in the border between Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. There we teach in Hindi, but finally the school kids learnt about the lamp and how to use the lamp in a language which is a mix of Gujarati as well as Rajasthani and some bit of Hindi also. So it is extremely interesting how the same thing was actually conveyed last mile, which is not possible if even if we had trained in really good people here and sent them there, the message would not have reached. Only because we included the local community, we were able to ensure that this happened. That happened just automatically because they just used to that language, they knew how to reach and they reached it. Then repair and maintenance shops. As soon as they told that we can actually set up a center and they could feel that they can earn some livelihood, they took a lot of initiatives. They painted their phone number in various locations so people can actually call them and get the services. We are the central coordinators, but various agencies has been involved. MNRE is a main funding agency to various field implementation partners, to vendors, to procurement partners. And for research, we are also collaborating with Boston College School of Social Work to understand the social impact of all these activities, along with the Professor N.C. Narayanan and Sitara, where you are also trying to examine the impact of sustained use of lamp on the education outcomes of the children, as well as in the economic, social and health outcomes of the households. And what determines adoption and sustained use of technology are broad questions. So people whom we train, we are exploring the impact of skill development on their livelihood opportunities in rural India. So we are doing this through both quantitative as well as qualitative approaches, where we are having surveys as well as focus group discussions and interviews. Okay, we have done the lamp distribution itself involving local community. Why is research and evaluation just questionnaires where they are very passive? Can we actually involve them in the research aspect also? So that is where the community based research is coming in. We created the research process where we can involve the community. So what we first do is we select people from the community, sat with them and actually discuss what is the actual problem that we want to actually model. Worked with them, identified what kind of issues or dynamics that is happening in the community, identify key variables that they see will affect the problem, work with them to actually build the model as what we call as a causal loop, that is a cause and effect mapping. That causal loop diagram or cause and effect model refinement and action plan was all discussed, like what do you want to improve, and actual working mathematical simulation model which accurately now represents the problem that they actually want to have. So we are able to bring in this aspect of localization into the research aspects also. So why are we doing all this research and stuff? Because research of course is essential so that we can actually transition to the next level where we have a lot of uncertainty. We want to provide energy access to community by engaging with community institutions. So what do you mean by that? Till now we have been doing assembly, distribution, repair and maintenance, which has been running in a project mode. Large money was done, we could empanel vendors and then we could do it at a much larger and bulk scale. But now we want to transition to market mode, where the retail shops that we have set up or network of it has to actually function as a retail shop and they should continue to earn their livelihood. At the same time, the community must be able to get adequate energy access as per their needs. So this is just a network of retail shops, or we need to transition to more aggregator companies who can now channelize so many thousands of shops that can, or hundreds of shops that is going to be all over the country in every gram panchayat. How do we get there, get them together, or can we actually even scale up to become a manufacturing company? To help answer all these things, a core research component is necessary. So on that aspect again, I think Chetan will be coming and talking to you about the last 3 aspects beyond the solar lamp. He's going to be talking about to help with that transition. we'll have one more video.
All right. Getting an idea what are the various elements that are involved to implement a project which is going to millions of families, right? Obvious question that has always been asked, that is the solar lamp is going to be enough, what solar lamp, ultimately it's a very tiny lamp, but it's a very powerful. But when you look at the Sustainable Development Goal 7, it actually talks about the complete, affordable, reliable, modern energy solution. So we used to talk about rural electrification, but in the current context of what is happening in terms of the climate change, we should talk about the complete overall electrification. So we thought three things are required. You need to really quickly reach to people. There are still 2.8 billion people who do not have access to clean cooking. Something which is of good quality, and it should also be affordable. So these are the basic problem of every country in the world. We have been developing various kind of solar products. So as I said, this technology is open source hardware. So this circuit actually can be utilized to power and make many other devices. For example, if you look at the flashlight, that also 1 watt of power, half watt of power. If you look at the various component home lighting system, that can also be in similar range. So once we do this, we can actually have many other products. Only thing what you need to do is have a different body parts. You need to have a different battery. You need to have a different panel depending on the need. Then street light is little bit higher power. You need 6 watt and 12 watt and 18 watt. So what we have done over a period of time, we have kind of standardized various circuits which can actually take care of many products. So we have released all them, we have designed it and released in open source so that everybody can do that, and we can do it further. So slowly building technology solutions so that the knowledge of the technology or the availability of technology doesn't remain a bottleneck. Whole idea was that if the solar shops are there and if they keep buying the material, whether panel and battery from outside and circuit from outside, the money from the local economy goes out of the economy. So the idea was that why don't we locally manufacture it? For example, the solar panel making is a very simple technology. It's only one complicated step that involved is kind of a lamination. So the solar panel making using solar cell is nothing but a lamination. You must have seen the paper lamination, right? Earlier we used to give a paper and get laminated with the plastic, exactly the same thing. So what we thought is, why can't we think of an ecosystem, which is run by the local and is for the local, that if you are producing locally the panels, if you are producing various components locally, and these local products are actually useful for the problem solving for the locals themselves and for their own need, then what could be the better than to create such an ecosystem? In this year, by the way, we are celebrating 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, who always proposed that not the mass production but production by masses is required. You heard of this? Because mass production always results in a centralization, it always results in an accumulation of resources to one place. And in fact, that is exactly the problem. If you look at the economic history of the world of last 150 years, you will find that the world is becoming more and more unequal. On the other hand, if you do production by masses, then there will be a more equal distribution, and therefore this solution that we have been building is exactly kind of production by masses, and energy is really key, especially now when the technology is improving and when the products are becoming very efficient. So for example, if you have a house where there are lights, fans, radio, TV, mobile charger, all this thing in a house, you can actually do all these devices, if they're very efficient devices, which are now available in just 16 units. So what we have been also doing on our project is enable people to assemble this product and sell this product at the market mechanism. There are, for example, 200 shops that are running right now. All of them are on their own investment, and they are selling products at the market rate. Not only that, we give them further training so they can do the entire electrification of the house. This is one of the projects that we did a small trial where we have asked people to surrender their electricity connection and go 100% on solar. So there are several houses that are of this nature. Everything is done by the women. So this is one of the unique factory established in Dungarpur, Rajasthan, which is owned by women and operated by women. And this is a 2 megawatt module manufacturing plant. So whatever module that I have shown here, they make similar kinds of modules. And not only that, they can make a 5 watt module, 10 watt module, 20 watt module. So whatever are the needs of the local area, they can manufacture and supply it. So that is how empowering it can be. The CEO of this factory is a Rukmani Devi, and Rukmani Devi is only 8th pass. And a couple of weeks ago, when I visited the Dungarpur and I was asking Rukmani ji, kaisa chal raha hai factory? What she replied? Sir, अच्छा चल रहा है, अभी डॉलर के रेट थोड़े बढ़ गए हैं, तो हमारा रॉ मटेरियल का 75 पैसा बढ़ गया है पर वाट का, तो हमारा पैनल इतना 1 रुपये महंगा हो गया है. So that is what the empowerment, so that is what this localization of the technology that it can bring. So this is the example how Dungarpur in this particular place has really evolved from a very simple, so this very women, we started with the solar lamp program, they set up the repair centers, then they started some solar shops, and now they are actually running the module manufacturing factory. And this was such a involvement for everyone within the district also, that this project was also nominated and also won the Prime Minister's Innovation Award by the district under this project. The next and the ultimate idea I think we are working is what I call is energy Swaraj. Like Gram Swaraj, you heard of Gram Swaraj? What was the idea of Gram Swaraj? By production by masses, that every community be self-sufficient in fulfilling their own needs. That is Gram Swaraj, right? Can we not do the same thing with the energy now? And if we can do that, it becomes energy Swaraj. What is required? Why don't we locally manufacturing? Why we locally service? And why we locally use local finance? Everything, if we can do that. And a lot of institutions that we have been working in our project, the State Rural Livelihood Mission, actually have very good established the local financing mechanism. So that is already there. IIT Bombay is anyway working on the technological solution, making it open source, so that is possible. And of course, there are local consumers. So when we do this, we can create a complete ecosystem. And this model, by the way, is not only valid for rural area, but it is also valid for urban India. Basically, what I'm trying to show you is it is indeed possible that we do that completely energy self-sufficiency locally. And if we can do that, I believe that the advantages are really enormous, and job creation is one of the major problem of any young growing country. So a lot of jobs can be created because by nature, decentralization of anything is require more manpower by nature. It will create a skilled manpower, Skill India, Make in India, local assets in economy. Once your manufacturing units are set up, the economy becomes more stronger. The robust after sale services and maintenance, because people are local. The local economic development, climate change mitigation, lot of benefit I can see happening from here. And not only that, it will also result in a shift from the program mode that we have been doing so far to the market mode. So just to give a glimpse of it, I have undertaken what is called Gandhi Global Solar Yatra to go around the world, talk to people that look guys, climate change is a really, really serious threat. It's a very scary, and solar energy solutions are actually viable today, and without subsidies, without grants, we can do that. We have been showing how we can reach to millions and millions of families. So If you go around, and whether you go to South Asia, you go to Africa, you go to Latin America, everywhere you can find that such a model can do a great deal of benefit for the various economies. Some of the examples how the solar lamp is now reaching to millions and millions of people, not only in India but outside also. So what we have done is last year is we organized a student solar ambassador workshop where we have trained more than 1,32,000 students all over the country on the single day. It was a Guinness World Record. So this was in our Gymkhana ground here. So more than 5,700 students got together and they learned to make their own solar lamp. They all took a pledge of non-violence to environment. And it was a Guinness World Record. This year in 2019, this event is now taking place all over the world with more than 1 million students on a single day going to learn to make their own solar lamp. So that is how, as I said, starting with the solar lamp, where we have done a lot of innovation in various levels, at the technology level, at the operations level, at the financing model, and the more important is working with the community. So now we are kind of creating based on whatever learnings and experience, creating as a energy Swaraj as a movement. I believe that the governments around the world cannot actually solve the problem of the climate change because the governments are elected for a short term, 4 years, 5 years. The climate change or the sustainability requires thinking of 50 years and 500 years. And it's only general public that has to become aware broadly and start taking and generating our own energy needs. And if we can do that, we have formed a foundation called Energy Swaraj Foundation. We are going to start inviting people to surrender your electricity connection. So if anybody is interested to surrender your connection, you are most welcome, you can join it. At home, we have stopped using refrigerator, washing machine, microwave, AC, geyser. We don't use any of it. So now for me, it's very easy to surrender. So one of the basic principle or the formula of sustainability is what Gandhiji told, that there is enough in the world for everybody's need, but not anyone's greed. You heard of this? And it is very clear that whatever modern lifestyle that we are living, it is impossible for the planet Earth to sustain. Impossible. You can't do it for everyone. And therefore, unless you are just limited to your needs, there is no way you can sustain. And therefore, even if it is energy, even if I have a magic wand and convert all the energy needs of the world into solar, the climate change will still not stop. So first principle is become disciplined user. And once you become disciplined user, it is very easy to surrender your connection and go 100% with the solar. So with this, on behalf of Jayendran, and would like to thank you again. And one of the things that the lamp has done is we have found out from various anecdotes and also research that the number of deaths due to the snake bite has come down wherever our lamp has gone. Because in the low mode, it can run for overnight, 12 to 15 hours. So what people will do, they'll switch on and sit and sleep, and it's whenever they wake up, they don't have to walk on the snakes and all. So they can figure out where it is and avoid it. So that has been a, surprisingly for us also has been a kind of contribution that this lamp has resulted in a reduction of number of deaths. All right, thank you.